So I realized that I've changed the green room at least 5 or 6 times in the time that I've lived in West Philadelphia. It'll be coming up on 10 years in a few months. And I realized I've changed this room so many times with all the different kinds of things I keep in it and all the different projects I do and the different kind of purposes I try to make the room be. I haven't documented it much other than random photographs occasionally here and there. So this is merely a modest and mostly, I suspect, unedited review of the visual layout of the green room circa early 2017. It is April already, and I am just surfing through this year with different projects and spending a lot of time actually in the green room, more than I have in years past. Maybe not as many hours as when I did the green room recording. I spent lots of hours in here doing that. Whether or not that was worth it is up to the listener to decide. But basically, the only purpose this video serves is pure physical, spatial documentation of what the room looks like right now in overzealous detail. So I think I'm going to take a lot of still pictures and go back over all the things that are here. And you can feel free to watch or not, and maybe I'll add commentary throughout. So here, beginning the tour on just one random wall. These are a series of paintings that I mostly did, and then other friends have done some of them. If I'm going to be detailed with this tour, over-detailed, that is a quote print I did based on a work by Vortman. I forget the name of it. It was Frog or something Frog. Those, I believe, Isadora said, are the plans for Big Spanky's pant. It's a sticker by my friend Jeff, and there's a print I did, and there is a painting I did, and that is Sophie and Gavin's wedding invitation in the background. There's a print I did, and there's a picture of me and Tara on my wedding day, and there's a print I did, and there's a record I did. There's a picture of Rhodey, very faded, that Isadora made for the West Coast, Salt Lake City, whatever it was. It's a letter from Star Tropics, half of the letter from Star Tropics. People who played the game know what that letter is. I won't describe it. There's a salt packet, and there's a really good painting by Russell of Red Rocket or grandchildren of a building I used to live next to. And there's a print I did, and there is a painting print. No, it's a painting that I did. It's layered. It's hard to see, but it's textured. There's a name tag from our wedding. There's another painting by Russell of Red Rocket grandchildren. And there's a poker chip from a guy on Fish Tour that I really like. The painting I did, and that is a Nintendo cartridge that I did for friends. It's a series of maybe 10 or 12, I don't know. It's the Uno nostalgia, and there's lots of references in there. Down there's a secret unreleased project for some friends. Here are, I think you saw these in the intro shots, but I'll quickly narrate what they are. These are 2 Halloween costumes. I was Bender for Halloween 2013, the wingsuit Halloween, and I won a contest that night. The crowd votes, it was cool. The dollar signs are part of a Halloween costume award at Chris Hunziker's house once when I was basically the housing crisis was my costume. Tara was an evil banker. It's a mask Tim Durbin gave me. Really generous present that he brought from South America, I believe. I forget exactly which country, honestly. And I haven't figured out what to use it for yet, but I'm sure it'll come in time to get used for something cool. This is a piece of the gourd Bearded Dave made in Salt Lake City Fish 2004, I believe. That's, well, there's no other way to call it. That's what we call Black Baby Head. And that is a doll Isadora made me, custom made for my internet porn star name, the Rhinestone Cowboy, I think it was. That's the reference. There's a mini Zoidberg model of the bigger Zoidberg model, which was my Halloween costume for Halloween 2016. No, good grief, 15. 14, the haunted house. 14, I think, was for the haunted house. So that is Zoidberg from Las Vegas. The cape is, in fact, from Big Cypress that Corey Martin made me, or Aaron Wade, but I think Corey made that. It's very neat. It's patchwork. Those Uno cards have been pinned on there since, I believe, that night, the Millennium show in Big Cypress. There's a reference to when I was Marty McFly, when I was Doc Brown for Halloween one year, 2000-something, 10, at the Boardwalk Hall, and I was Doc Brown, and Tara was a mime, and we took a picture that ended up being used for our wedding invitation. Maybe you'll see it. I don't remember if it's in this room. It's a funny flyer I picked off a post at Dick's one year. Somebody funny hung up funny flyers, and I liked it a lot. That sticker has been there since I moved in, when I played a lot more guitar. There is the infamous Festival 8 print by everybody's favorite Pollock, and it's one of the ones that's a little controversial. I actually have come to like it. It's 3D, or I've been told. I've actually never tried it. And there is a Jim Pollock filled out a survey for me at Magnaball. And there's even references that are too small to see there. And there's Bob Uecker's baseball card that Isadora or Nick gave me a long time ago. I'm not sure who. And this is a custom painting. I guess you can only say that Isadora made me for about 5, as you can see. Custom marker drawing. I don't know. There's a lot of Isadora in this video, so if you hate Isadora, you're going to hate this video. And if you like Isadora's art, then you're going to see some of it. So that's the whole explanation. There's an AJ print that I bought a long time ago, and it's a Big Cypress print, if you can guess, and there's the photo that came with it. And I really like it. And there's something I got just last summer, I believe. It's a hologram, and I don't know if it'll show up in the video camera, but it's a Wizard of Oz fish crossover. And it's really neat, and that's why it's hanging just above my desk. There's a small beaver pencil sharpener that my grandma, Rosanna, had when I was a kid, and I have it now. And there's just from this year, there is the fish raindrop from this past New Year's, basically raining cats and dogs was the theme, and I traded for that on the internet. I traded away one of the spiders that you'll see later in the video. Yeah, they're little keepsakes. That is the Unobop counter, I call it. Or the Bop counter, I don't know if you can see that. You'll see the 2 are blanked out yet. There's the pouch that I think either one of my grandparents or Mary Jo sewed for me, that I currently keep my video camera that I'm literally filming on this moment. It's a cassette tape. There's my computer. That's a topic in itself. Everyone's seen a computer, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time filming it, but that thing has shaped my life since 2008, I think it is. The Green Room was produced on it. The recent movies were produced on it. Probably the next one, I would imagine, at this point. The whole Wheel of Mistray and Vort Vegas were produced on that computer, so I love it. It's been a big part of my life. Also, the Green Room was made on everything. Every media output's gone through that computer. It's the heart of the Green Room. There's a print, I believe that's also an AJ, and I think Isadora bought that for me, like so many generous gifts that she's given me over the years, and it's just stunning. That's why it's hanging over the heart of the Green Room. My computer's never had a name before, but I think I've just seriously named it. The Heart of the Green Room is the name of my computer. Some Garbage Pail Kids from the 80s, I'd imagine. My brother's name and my name, I just thought they were cool that I happened to have those two. There's my autographed copy of the Fish Bill from the Wingsuit year when I won the contest as Bender. And there are some of the Man Music show commemorative cards for the last couple of fishes that have been there. There's Tara as Princess Leia for our wedding. No particular reason of reference other than it's a geek fantasy, so I thought it'd be funny to put her head on that body. There's a squeezed ball Yoda that I got from my aunt-in-law as a gift after she saw the Tara cut out. Hard to explain, but that's the connection. There is either Queen or King Uno. I think it's Queen Uno, just a Queen Bender currently. I believe Adrian and Dula made the costume. Adrian possibly made the costume, retooling Queen Uno, which I am currently, apparently, for my first time ever. It's really neat and elaborate. I want to give it up. I'm going to get a shot. Taking some stills of that, because that's a shot, right? put that on the right line maybe at some point. Okay. Forgive the indulgence. Or indulge the forgiveness. There's a Kristen Fitch painting. She, at the time, I don't have any reason to doubt her, but at the time, she said it was the first painting she ever sold, and I bought it for Tara when we had just started dating, and I said, I know a girl that I'm seeing that really likes art, and kooky art, I think, and I would love to buy one of your paintings, and I think she said it was one of her first sales ever, and I think she sold it for like $40 or $50, maybe $48. And that's why I have it hung, I guess that's why I have it hung just below Isidore's very first like sold fish print. So there's the very first, you know, that's official. The very first Isidore lot print. I was there with Leon and Nick and Isidora that night when she sold them, and then she was really pleased by how well it went. Everyone really liked it. And so if you have that, I think it's probably valuable to at least poster collectors. This used to be a plan, and it was a plan I had for, I don't know, a solid 12, 13, 14 years, hung just there until a few months ago when one day it fell out of the plant holder and crashed to the floor. And that was the end of it. And that kind of sucked because I'd really had that plant a long time. It was definitely part of this green room, and it's gone. And I was sad about it. It was one of those, like, I don't know, plants that hang and grow a lot of leaves with vines. I don't know plant names. So instead now Zoidberg's hands, and Bender's hands, in fact, the gray stuff in the background. And then when I was Angus Young for Halloween, Angus Young's hat and horns. So it's a Halloween mishmash plus a pterodactyl Tara bought for the dogs, and I'm torturing them by hanging it there. And there's beads. Gosh, I can't possibly guess when those are from. I can't quite remember. They might be honestly from Fish on Bourbon Street when we went there to New Orleans, and they could be beads from then when Chris and I went down there for Fish 99, but I don't know. They may well be from something else, like a New Year's show or something else. I can't quite remember. There's a lot of toys in here, as you've seen. This is a Scott and I think it was Toad and maybe Brian lived there, I don't know at the time, had a future party at their house, and I made a jetpack. This is my jetpack, and I just can't seem to get rid of it because it's so clunky, but I think it's funny. And recently I've been playing with my tapes more, and so here we have a, what would you call that? A rack of cassette tapes. And there are many from many years ago, and then there's some that are a little more recent, because cassettes are in fact back in as of 2007 when I'm filming this. There are at least 2 relatively, well, brand new tapes within the last 2 months. There's my friend Adam Black, one of my good friends, Adam Black's Body Spray Hell cassette tape. It's red. And just earlier, I was listening to a tape I just bought just this past weekend of a band called On the Water from West Philadelphia area. And it's a purple cassette, and it's brand new. Or I think that might be one of their older tapes, but I bought it this weekend from them at one of their shows, so that's rad. This amplifier is the amplifier I basically, if you can call it learn to play guitar on, and it's loud, or it was, and it's kind of broken now, but I bought it from a guy who was my really good friend in college named Jason Damiano, or D. And if you ever see this D, I still have it. I keep flirting with getting rid of it because I never use it, and it's kind of needs some tuning up and rewiring because it's staticky and all that junk, loose wires, but I haven't done it yet. Holding on to it kind of holds other things. Here's a stack of like random VHS tapes. Some I have no connection to, and then some I've had for decades. I'm not going to stand here and list my VHS tapes to you, but there's some funny ones in there. Bob Uecker, just different stuff. Family Circus, some things I've showed to do. Bob's 2 friends. This here serves as a few purposes. There's a coconut. Some of you will know about that. Dog toys that I'm torturing the dogs by. I hide them up on a ledge where they can't quite get them, and then they're really excited when I get them off the ledge here, kind of like little dorky nerds for their special toys. This is the stack of 8s, I call it, and some of you could guess what that's about, and some of you might not guess what that's about. They're all 8s, so it's more than it looks like in this video. It goes down pretty deep, and I'd say there's probably a couple hundred laying here in very thick stacks. So that's the windowsill. It's pretty much what it's been. It's been the 8s for a long time. This is a wall of art. I don't know if I'm going to go through all the art. I guess I could mention all of them. Rocket Mango, which was a joke between some of my friends and I, in response to the attempts to get Rocket Man played at a concert. I made the Rocket Mango for apropos of nothing sort of kind of humor. It's got a picture of Shatner up on it. And there is a piece of an Odyssey 2. I just hung it up because I think it's cool. Odyssey 2 was one of the earliest video game system home consoles, I should say, and that was a switcher that you had to like put on the screws on the back of really old TVs to send the signal on the TV, and then you could switch between the signals, TV, and device, so to speak. It was like before we had inputs on TVs, that was kind of like, I guess, a tacked on input button. Here we have, like, I've gotten into just putting disparate pieces of art or things I like into frames to collect them. So this is a fish bill from the most recent one, just this last year, 2016, when they played Ziggy Stardust. And it was really cool. This is a painting. It's actually a painting I bought off a guy on the streets in Prague when Tara and I were in Prague in 2007. Just kind of one of the few keepsakes I have from that trip, and I really like it because it's art. And there is it's not hand-drawn, it's a reproduction of a hand-drawn photocopy, so to speak, or a printout of a hand-drawn. Really good thing from Fun a Day that we saw, that somebody made an entire month of comical parody flyers related to our exact neighborhood, West Philadelphia. And I thought several of them were really funny, and this is one they were giving away that you just take for free at the show. It's goofy. This is something I pulled off a wall of Dick's as well. It's in jokes. Or not in jokes, made up weird jokes. There's a Caveman poster, one of the best bands that ever played Philadelphia on the indie circuit, and they are probably not a band anymore, but they probably say they're not a band either from the way they vibed. So I hope they play a show again. And there is a really cool print my brother bought me for Christmas one year. It has a mate that is not in this room. It's the princess. There's a painting I made a long time ago. I'll just hold on it. It's better than it looks like probably on video, but it's not particularly sophisticated. It's sort of splatter painting. I really enjoy making Pollock-esque paintings once in a great while. I haven't made one for a long time, but there's an example of one. I have one in the living room that's bigger. I like maybe a little better, but that's a neat small one. It's an Isadora, of course. I have easily 40 Isadora Bullock prints, and I have to kind of rotate them in and out. Really love that one because Camden's right across the river. We'll go through this next. This is, I mean, there's not really a value for that, but that is a poster for the Disco Biscuits, either 1998, 1997 even. It's probably 1997. I'd have to look it up. I have no idea if we could even pin down which Cafe 210 show that was, but it was not the night Fish played, and I met Fish at Cafe 210. It was another show, and Yoke was a band my former roommate KC from Penn State was big into. He's friends with them, and they were neat from what I remember of the tapes. I didn't know much about them. That's a real CD box for people who weren't old enough to remember. When CDs first arrived, they were sold in long boxes, and the CD was literally just part of the box, and the rest was filler, just because people weren't used to the idea of buying a record that was that small without an album case around it. There was my favorite snack as a child, so I just have a label of it. I adored those, and I ate them with gusto. And I remember days at my grandma Salem's house fondly with those snacks. There's, in fact, my other grandmother gave me a subscription once to the Weekly World News, and that was in my card that Christmas, and it says that it's from my grandma and grandpa to me. I learned a lot of good things from that magazine. There's what CDs sometimes came boxed in, y'all millennials. That is a regular size CD. It was just an outer layer to the CD. You've probably seen those. The long boxes, not as much. This is a map I made for the NES game Goonies 2. But you would think I did this when I was a kid, and I did not. I did this as an adult, and this game is one of the hardest things to map ever. Because it is not a sensible, normal, linear map. There's a lot of notes on the side that explain the map, in fact, and how this, in fact, is the front of the maze. But when you travel in the game, you travel through the maze that direction, so the whole map flips. But the trick is that this is not symmetrical. It doesn't make sense. The map doesn't line up on either side, so you have to literally make this elaborate system of knowing which door leads to which door on the other reverse side of the map. It's very difficult to explain and even more difficult to finish, and I did finish it, in fact. This is a Vorcan. We own 2 other Vorcans. We're not as prolific buyers as some of our friends, but this is my favorite. I'm really always been very glad I bought it. Vorkan or Vortman and Kank, two good friends, and who spent a lot of time painting. You can Google them, Vorkan, V-O-R-C-A-N. They don't do as many works currently, but that doesn't mean they won't in the future, or that they're not worth checking out in the past. And they had a thing called the 50 States, where they painted 50 days in a row in 50 states, if I'm correct, and painted a painting in each one. And I owe them a keg of beer for that still in 2017, and that was a long time ago. There's a rocket from the day we got Fish to play Rocket Man, or I should say Bearded Dave and Lifeboy and a lot of other good friends of ours like meditated and plotted and made our favorite band play one of our favorite songs. And that is an artifact from it, one of the originals. And there's a spider from New Year's Halloween that I did trade. I have extras of that that I'm willing to trade for valuable stuff because I went out of my way to collect a few of them. There's a few more hiding around here. But down there you'll see my Bender beer can, lowbrow, and then a Fish hot dog from Fish 2010, which I can say a lot of these keepsakes from Fish shows I have because of Tara, because she grabs them and brings them to me and says, I bet you want this. And I say, I did, thank you. There's another spider hiding in my jade plant, which I should mention I've had since about 2002. It's pretty mighty. There's my hand for perspective. It's very thick, very hardy, but it's so top heavy and it's grown in some different directions, so it has to like lean up against something, because otherwise every time I repot it, it ends up leaning, because as you can see a lot of the branches are all on that far side. I've had that plant, gosh, that must be 15 years just about that I've had that plant. That's kind of an amazing thing when you realize it. And it's very hardy. It loses branches. It's probably got some dead ones down here. It breaks off because there's not enough window for it, and I'm doing my best. This is a gas mask I wore to a Halloween party at Chris's house when I was the Uno apocalypse was kind of the theme. I was the end of Uno in my mind, like whatever that's going to look like. I was a gas mask survivor. These are the tops of Chinese food canisters, or the sides, like the little wire thing. And if you cut it off, I noticed years ago, and this is pretty funny, never told anyone about this project, but they look like you could make them into like walking robots. I don't know. They remind me of Muppets or something. You could like pose them strangely. And I haven't decided what to do with them. I glue them together, make a creature out of it, make a sculpture, make a goofy thing out of it. I keep imagining literally having like a show at a something like a fun day, and literally just having them all set up as if they're serious, like in a rows. Maybe I'll do that. It wouldn't be a real fun day, but it would be like, look, I made art just out of Chinese food box leftovers. I have at least 40 or 50 there, and they're from many years. I cleaned them, of course. There is a ghost. I was for some boring Halloween costume, and it's over my Angus Young guitar from Fish. There's my, I never was like super grown into this bass, but it's the only bass I've ever had, so I guess it's my bass, and it was Jeff's bass of Algebra of Need guy, Jerf, as our friends call him. It was his, I think, and I ended up with it. And it's okay. It plays all right. I'm not a good bass player, or a bass player at all. There's my very dusty guitar. The black one is my guitar, and the acoustic is not a very good acoustic, but it's fine. Whatever, I don't play acoustic, and that is Andrew number 1's. But we traded my violin for that, and we never really traded back. And I've had the guitar longer than I've had the violin by some number. Of magnitude. There's my trumpet, my first trumpet from 2nd and 3rd grade. I never play it because it hurts my face, but I have it because what are you going to do with the trumpet you had in 2nd grade other than hang on to it and occasionally look at it and admire it? Maybe I will play it someday. You just never know. There's a keyboard my grandmother got me in the 80s, and it's a Casio tone bank, and I played it on a recent recording that's still secret as of this recording. I played a lot of it recently and finally recorded some of it. I've had it since probably 2/3 of my life. It's neat. It's one of those simplistic keyboards with no way to record unless you plug it into something else, which I never did my whole life. There's the typewriter. One of the several, I should say, couple, 2, 3, 4 typewriters been in my life. There were 2 at the Uno frat, and this is one of them, I believe. The other one was much larger, heavier iron, and clunkier. And that one doesn't exist around in our friendship circle of people I know anymore. So this is as I think of it, the typewriter from the Uno frat, or at least number 2. And it works, and I can write a letter on it, and I probably will soon, because Dave Drecky said he's sending me a letter, and I will send him one. We're moving into the 22-minute mark here, maybe even 23 or 24, and you feel free to turn off at any time. This is for me, not necessarily for you. These are various pieces of art in the green room. There's Mr. Squawky. Some of you know him. He's from the Trash Master Parade in 1999. And there is a license plate that my niece, Rosemary, I think my niece and nephew picked out for me, maybe for Christmas with their parents, my brother and Samantha. There's a print that I think I sold. In fact, it was a dare between me, Isadora, and Yuri, and she could draw anything she wanted, and I would try and sell it and see if I could get money for it. And I think I sold it, and the guy said he wanted me to keep it till the end of the show. He didn't want to carry it around, which made sense, but he never got it back from me, so it technically is someone else's. This is just a random tinfoil print I bought from a guy for a few bucks at I think it was like a SPAC show. There is the Fluffhead sign. I pretended I was a journalist and snuck into the Fox Theater. This is a true story. In 2009, when I was traveling from my job to that area for my work, and I was in town where the Fox Theater is, and I went there in St. Louis, and St. Louis, right? Yeah. And like I told them I was a journalist and I was going to do a small story on it, and I talked my way in there, and they let me go in there, and I stood up and had them take my picture holding it up. It was a fantasy tour joke at the time. It didn't like get huge traction, but I'm glad I did it. There's a picture of Tara and Hello when he is literally like under a year old. Beautiful picture of them both. There's Courtyard Drink Out, and a picture of a squashed gourd was gave me, and a picture of Bearded Dave licking a stick, and let me see it. And there's an old map from like Cereal Box or something of Legend of Zelda 1. And I don't even know where I came across that at my parents' house somewhere, and I loved it. And I was like, that's just so kitsch. I gotta have it. There's a really nice letter from one of my best friends in my life, Angela, that I've had for decades. And there's a business card for one of my favorite bands, Starwood. And there's a picture of Tara when she is like 8. If we just found it in a box somewhere, and I was like, you're really cute. Look at you, you're 8. And there's Mike Gordon, a postcard he sent me one time, and that is cool. I forget what it says. I have one or two of them, humbly, and they're neat. There's a business card from Vort and his porch cat. And we'll go the other way. There's a picture of fish. That's it was like a series of fish postcards they sold a few years ago. I forget how I got them, if I bought them or if they came for free with something else. But there's fish in all their dorky glory in the 80s, I believe it is. And there's a picture, comically, very similar in a dorky way, of some of my friends and I when we were going to the Gorge in 2009. And there's a picture of Isadora and Elaine. And there's Wenger bleeding in from another picture, and there's George in the bottom, and there's Leon Wenger, and there's the Gorge 2009 group picture. It's a really good picture. Some of you've seen it. There's my grandfather Andy dipping a banana in coffee. Picture of Wart I recall always liking, and I like as well a lot. It's Andy being funny for me, and I'll never forget that, man. And there's me. A man I will also never forget, a picture somebody else took of me in front of the Uno card flag, or one of those awesome Uno card flags that Isadora made. It's a great picture. Someone gave that to me. I don't quite recall who gave that to me. Royce, Brian Quarry's Ephrata apartment. Just a funny picture of his face I've always liked. And then the whiteboard that I'm kind of like circulating around, I've had since I worked as a CRA. That was my traveling job, and they would let me buy stuff for my home office, so I got a kick out of that because it was my first like really decent professional job. And so one of the random things I ordered was a whiteboard, and I use it here and there. Right now its biggest function is listing all the concerts I've seen this year, which is, it's only April and I've seen that many concerts, which I'm pretty proud of. I'll take it. The green room just had a major change, which is why I thought partly about doing this. I just got rid of that couch that, well, I didn't get rid of it, it's on the porch for now. But the porch couch was, in fact, Grandma Salem's fold-out couch, Grandma and Grandpa Salem's fold-out couch. And it has been in this room since 2007. And I was not excited to get rid of it, but I'd gotten to a point where I wanted to just make a change. And a big change that happened this weekend is this not so picturesque when it's just like laying out like that, but really, really functional and amazing thing called a Yogi bow. It's like a giant beanbag, but you can shape it. I'm not going to be able to demonstrate that, but you can shape it into an easy chair, for instance. All you do is just plunk your butt down halfway down the large, lumpy surface of it, and it turns into an easy chair, bang, and you've got back support for real. And I slept on it the other day, and I'm a pretty fussy sleeper, and it looks like it's about 5 feet maybe in the photo there, but you can make it stretch. It bends in very flexible different ways and then retains the shape you end up in. I slept in it like a giant cocoon the other day, and it was utterly comfortable. I highly recommend it. I did not know adult beanbags were so advanced. Also, they're not exactly cheap, but so far I'm getting my money's worth out of it. It's an amazing seat. So my point was, there's no longer the couch there. Remember it always, it is the brown old couch that sat here, and it's folded out, and Tiago slept on it for a year, but it's not in the video. So moving on. There is the Green Room album. I believe I started there. And that, I'm not sure if my grandmother made this knitted fabric, if Tara did, if we just found it somewhere. Some paperwork and some notebooks, video game and video technology related. Brewster's Millions, the book Tara got me. One of my grandfather Andy's whiskey trains. They're Michter's trains. That one has whiskey in it, if I'm not mistaken. No, it's the other one. I'll probably see that in a moment. There's the absinthe bottle. I drank all the absinthe. It's that typical crappy tourist absinthe that you buy when you go abroad. And I bought some when I was in, that was probably from Prague, if I had to remember. I drank it. It's just very heated drink. I wasn't in love with it, but, I drank a bunch of it to see if it made you really drunk, like they say. This is a marble, and I forget the artist's name, but Chris and I sold glass bracelets similar to my glass, well, by the same artist. The glass balls are not, but we sold cases of this glasswork by O'Grady. I forget the name of the marble artist, but I ended up with this one. Chris and I never really sorted out the payment or the cost or the profits or whatever from that whole venture. I think it got handed off to somebody else, and somebody else got rich off our laziness. I don't really know. There's a Richard Petty cup. Of all the things in this room, it's probably ranking up there among the oldest. Top 20, top 10. Eric Redinger and I, maybe Royce to some degree, collected these Richard Petty cups from a mini mart where you could get a 32-ounce soda for, $1 or less. CRs or Pensapreme. I think these came from Pensapreme, if I have to be dead honest. And we would go there, and it became our joke. And we were stashing them places. I don't recall. We had them hidden in a field, possibly. We had them hidden in our closets. We didn't wash them. I remember my mom finding them. They were unwashed, covered with ants, possibly. I had stacks of them. I had like 40, 50 of them. I don't even know where they are. Yeah, that is the one I have. Those are 2 gourds, and I think Roy's trying to give them. They're from the frat, or maybe not. I don't know. This is from Festival 8, although I never knew if it's official memorabilia or if it was just something someone picked up off the ground. But who cares? This I just got this year, 2017, Disco Biscuits, at the, at the Fillmore, the new venue in Philadelphia, that are currently one of our best venues, frankly, and it's new too, the Fillmore, Philadelphia. Barber from the Biscuits, this is his guitar pick. I think it was laying on the ground backstage where he was practicing, and I was fortunate enough to be hanging out with some cool friends. Thanks, Ira. And there's the golf ball from 2012 New Year's, another one of those memorabilias. I have a lot of those, don't I? Reaching back here. Here's a hair dichro jewel. This is not by O'Grady to my knowledge. I'd have to look at it. I don't remember. I've had it so long, and I've had it off for a really long time because it hurts your hair. It's for a dread. Had it on dread for a really long time. There is the lobster juice reproduction cans from referencing the Wheel of Mistray night at the Magna Ball when we had one of the best times of Uno ever of all time. There are my Sally Jesse Raphael, the remaining piece of my glasses that everyone loved because they were bright red and I looked like Sally Jesse. These are real glasses. Here's a learning tip. Don't put super glue ever near real glasses lenses. I glued them back together and it fogged out the lenses. The fumes or something reacted with the lens. So that wasn't cool at all. I think that was how they finally got ruined when they did that. This is a puzzle box, one of those things where you get the little marble on top and you roll it through the maze. I've had this since I was a kid. This is, again, very old, early 80s from my grandma Salem's house. It was a toy I always enjoyed. Royce always played with it a lot there, and I just ended up with it. I wonder what I wrote on the back here. It says Ryan Clay, 1861. That's what it, wait, let's turn it the other way. I wrote 1981. I must have wrote that when I was so young that I wrote the year facing the other way of my name, and I don't think I meant to be funny. That's like my earliest handwriting there. That's probably like second grade. So, what are those words called? What was that? Sniglets. That was a sniglet right there. That sticker. get a little heavy for a moment, but we'll move right through it, just for my own reference here. This is a guitar tuner that my girlfriend Lee bought me. And I remember this is when we were college students. I think I was 96, 97, and obviously no one had a lot of money, and we didn't work very regularly. We went to a lot of class, lived off like pittances from our parents, and she bought me this for a present, whether my birthday or Christmas. Probably Christmas, if I had to guess. And it still works, and it's just one of those standard tuners. I even see them around in stores still. She bought me that one, and I'll always treasure it because of that. And, yeah. And this is hair from our dog Patches. And I know that might be weird to some people to keep some dog hair from a dog that is no longer on the living, but I don't care. I just keep it. So here to have a look at Patchy's hair. I know, it's pretty weird to some people. It totally feels like his hair still. There's nothing weird about it, so just letting you see it. Remembering Patchy. He was a really dog I loved a lot. Still do. And here is up-tempo. Here is a box Mike Gordon sent me for my wedding. I wrote him a letter, invited him to our wedding, and he and I have a like casual on and off like kind of communication, correspondence, friendship, and occasionally say hi to each other here and there. That is the extent of it. And it's an uneventful box, and I really like it. It's super funny. It was super enigmatic gift. I keep it turned to eventful a lot of times unless I'm feeling like I need less events. So there it is. So that lamp doesn't have none of it. This is Grandma and Andy's lamp, I think. So that does have personal significance. All the other lamps, nothing too much. Up here we have the 30-sided die, or 30. You couldn't make 31. It was too hard. I couldn't figure out how to do it. It's a 31-sided shape. It's spherical, roughly. It's made of very light cardboard, so I could flex it and bend it and build it, in fact. But it's every single day is a different essay on every side of it. And they're all essays about fish, to be specific. Different topics, kind of philosophy, filtered through the lens, random topics, whatever I could think of that day. It's about art, too. You know, the explanation is that it's like things they inspired me to think about art-wise and aesthetically. So it sits there now. What do you do with a 30-sided cardboard shape you made for an art show that was a two-night art show? This is the cap of a nitrous tank from the only Grateful Dead parking lot I ever went to. Went there in 1994 fall, I believe, with my roommates and friends from college. And we had a really nuts night that I am not going to describe right now. Nothing specifically to do with nitrous, so to speak, but it was a very long night. We didn't really have a way to get home from the show. We were sleeping at Mike's parents' house, or that was vaguely the plan. And for some reason, I ended up carrying this out of the lot at the Philadelphia Vets. I think it was Vet Stadium, I guess. And I wore it on my hand for some reason. No reason. I was just being goofy. And I wore it all night like I had a robot hand. And I was marching around with this like metal paw. And I can kind of still remember the feeling of that. But I still have it to remember that. There's a model car box that was my grandfather Andy's, and I think he would occasionally encourage me to, you know, build it. I didn't want to. I don't like models, and it's one of those goofy sets where you break the tabs off and stuff. This is another one of those like whiskey trains, and this one has whiskey in it. I guess it's a Michter's train, I think. So it's sitting there for some night when me and my friends decide we want to have some Michter's. Some of you, I would imagine by this point, are like kind of dying to see the shelf. So I'm not gonna. Why is it all blurry? There we go. Lighting's a little weird. Sorry if it's been blurry a little bit. I apologize. As much as about the narration as it is about the footage. And I apologize about my voice. I'm just not going to talk for 30 minutes and like be really inflective the whole time. I'm just going to talk in my sleepy time voice because it's about midnight right now. This is my video game collection. It's not all of it at all, but it's a majority of the physical media. Downstairs there are my Atari collection and the Nick's Odyssey 2 that he gave me that he says is mine now, but I'll probably just always call it Nick's Odyssey 2 just because. And what else? Grandma's 5200, the Atari 5200 is downstairs, and then the the Odyssey. My NES collection of games that only work with a CRT television are downstairs, like Zapper games and Rob and all that stuff are downstairs in the yellow room, which will have to be another tour. But this is my newly installed set of shelves because I was kind of taking over the yellow room library with games and game paraphernalia. So I really felt bad because Tara doesn't like, she is a very tolerant wife and very cool, but I was sort of starting to take over. So this is like just better. And I like it because I've, been building a little bit of a game room in here, and it's nice. Those are a bunch of cartridges of note. Rue just sent me like a stack of N64 games he didn't want anymore, and I said I'd give him a good home, and I promised to. Different things, lots of gaming paraphernalia. That's pretty old. That's a Game & Watch. It's in the box. I believe it's technically Royce's because I don't recall owning it, but Royce, I think I've asked him before, and he doesn't, I don't think he has memories of it either, particularly. I'm not sure. This is the most valuable Nintendo game I own. It's called Zombie Nation. I bought it at a premium, more than a lot of you would believe I paid, but it's worth more than what I paid by a significant amount. It's one of those ones genuinely you sniped a bid, so to speak. It's legit. It's got a little bit of label damage there, which matters to people who are into this stuff, but Zombie Nation is fairly rare, and I probably paid a third less than I should have paid for it. I wanted it because a guy from IGN who's very friendly with me and always been super nice to me online, named Sam Claiborne, he bought me lunch a couple times, recommended it on one of his podcasts where he talked retro, and I haven't played it yet. In fact, I've been sort of saving it for a rainy day kind of experience. This is a giant shelf. Well, there's the Lynx, Atari Lynx, for anyone who's a fan. Mine is a little washed out, and I need to do something about that, but different topic for a different video. So this is my Uno card collection. It's not all of it, again, sort of similar to what I've seen about the games, but it's very thick. I'm not going to do what's starting to happen here. I'm not going to pull these cards off the shelf because there are, no joke, thousands of cards here. It goes really deep and it's very thick, like decks and decks and decks. And I just kind of stuffed it in there. And if this would be a video in its own to narrate even a percentage of the items here, like, oh, there's my college hacky sack. And there's the plastic shot glass. I did a shot of something at the bar with Trey and Paige one time, and I kept the plastic cup. There is so much stuff in there. There's a weird gun from 1998 that I had in the van with Leon when we traveled across the country. Just if you've had an interesting life, There's one of the balls from the ball pit that some of our friends made at the state college. There's the typewriter that Vort doesn't know he's going to get back someday, but until then I'm just going to keep putting it in movies, and then Vort will get it back. There's a little sculpture board, and we had a contest, and there's a gourd, and there's a lot of Uno cards, and there's the box of Mistray, and there's the Econo Kink. I can't even see. Oh, there's just ticket stubs, just tickets and tickets and tickets and tickets of concerts. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff over in that little memory corner here. We're not going to get to all that. Turn this way, there's a stack of Nintendo Powers and Thrashers with Tony Hawk on the cover, and some Weekly World News. Really just Sierra magazine. I mean, I'm not even joking. I just have some goofy stuff here. Turning this way, there's my current newest kind of thing I've been doing. I really got a retro game setup going on. It's a little messy tonight because my friend Brian Schumann was over, and I'm really thankful because he's into retro games too. So lately we've been having a lot of times when we get together and we play. He's tolerant of my interests in retro games, or even enthusiastic about them, because he has a depth of knowledge about a lot of old games. And so it's fun to talk about them and play them with them, because I think playing games is fun when you play them with other people, in summary. So just a random smattering. I literally just scattered them across the floor while we were playing to discuss and talk about which ones we're going to play. So I got the N64 in there, kind of buried in there. That's hooked up via S-Video to the FrameMeister. And then there's a Super Nintendo hooked up through RGB to the FrameMeister, since Super Nintendo does native RGB, which is something I learned about this winter. Well, and it's great. It looks good. And there's my Wii with some GameCube controllers, because I got one of the originals, and you can play your GameCube games in there. Pretty good resolution. And there's my PlayStation 2, which I got on components. Just going straight into the TV right now because I think the FrameMeister I haven't figured out, or I haven't seen how it makes it better. There is my top-loading NES that I got for Christmas from Terra. It's RGB modded, and it goes into the FrameMeister as well. There's a lackluster version of Vindicators stuck in it right now. We were just playing it earlier. It's not as good as the arcade. It's kind of disappointing compared to the arcade. In fact, it's my old stereo I've had since high school. It's been in the basement and inoperative for a solid decade, like where I barely ever used it. I had it in the backyard a couple times and stuff like that. But yeah, it's, but then I wanted to have a little bit better sound since I got the FrameMeister. You've heard me talk about it. Well, I'm talking about it. And so I have just some basic speakers hooked up to the receiver and negotiating that out of the FrameMeister, which is there and there in the place of honor currently, because it's a device that I waited online for a few months after paying a premium price for it. It's to a layperson, if you're not familiar, I'm super excited about it. What it does is, nutshell, old video game systems, old Nintendos don't send the correct signal to modern HD TVs, even a very low end like Sony Bravia, like $500, $400 TV like this. They don't play nice with it. You get a lot of shadows and echoes, and I don't know how you say it, like bleeding. Like they don't work right. If you've never tried it, it doesn't work right. If you can even connect it to the TV with the connections that your TV has. So you need some way to negotiate that. And that is a device called an upscaler. It's commonly referred to. The FrameMeister's kind of been the Cadillac, or one of them, for a while. And I finally got one. It's neat because it basically makes all your, with a series of cables, and usually having to mod the systems a little bit, to be frank with you, it's a learning curve and there's some expense involved. But you can then play classic game systems again, and it's a really rewarding experience. If you're interested, I can help you learn about it. But it's expensive. So that, in summary, is kind of the tour of the green room. I definitely miss things. I mean, I could spend a time on the closet, but we're closing in on 45 minutes here. There's a bunch of passes. There's my Uno laminates that used to hang just here on another set of shelves that's no longer here. They hung there for years. There's a letter. I got published in Nintendo Power, a photocopy of it. And there's a letter from Audrey from IGN. And there's a picture of Mario Strikers, one of the games that defined the aughts for me. The closet is a closet. It's got so many different things in it, like stereo supplies, video supplies, art supplies, lots of art supplies, old video cassettes that I've either translated onto a digital format, or like graffiti supplies and art supplies, paste ups, I should say, graffiti, whatever. This box is just a myriad of art supplies. It's so pointless to talk about so much shipping tape, because for a while I was gung-ho on eBay and shipping stuff so much, like out of here. Now I'm more in a buy mode lately. Art supplies. This orange toolbox went with me in the art box, not toolbox, went with me in the van in 1998 with Leon. It was one of the many artifacts I carried along with us. God bless you, Leon, for carrying me. Just random stuff. Those are boxes full of Uno cards and Uno card related, like, making material. So that is the end of the tour. I haven't checked the videotape yet, but I am not sure if I'll ever use this or not. But if I do, it'll be for you to enjoy and learn about every single thing in this room. And I guess I thought I would just end the video now. So thanks for tuning in.